Today's lesson is on comparing and ordering fractions with unlike denominators. So let's take a look at the rules for comparing and ordering, for comparison and ordering. First, you need to find the LCM. As you know, the LCM is the least common multiple of the fractions that you're talking about. That's number one. Once you've done that, using the LCM, you convert the fractions into equal fractions with the same denominator. Equivalent, when you hear that word, you should automatically think what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. You find the equivalent fractions using the LCM. Once you create a new fraction, that LCM becomes your least common denominator, your new denominator. The final step is you then compare or order. So let's look at an example here. 3/5 compared to 3/4. How do we do this? Well, the first thing is we have a definite case of unlike denominators. So we need to first find the LCM. We look for and list multiples of 5. You all know how to count by fives, 5, 10, 15, 20. Then we look at our 4 and we list multiples of 4. Remember, multiples go on to infinity. So I could, in fact, keep writing here 24, 28, Here I'd write 25, 30. So anyway, I make a list of multiples. It really doesn't matter how many. And then I go back and look for multiples that are in common to both the 5 and the 4. In this case, the only common multiple we see so far is the 20. 20 becomes our least common multiple is 20. So if I go to step 2 and I'm making equivalent fractions. So what I'm looking at here is 3/5, changing that into an equivalent fraction with 20 in the denominator. So let's do this one first. What do I do to 5 to get 20? Okay, you multiply it by 4. Remember, what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So if I'm multiplying the bottom by 4, I also have to multiply the top by 4. So we now have a statement that says 3/5 is equal or equivalent to 12/20. So in other words, if I had eaten 3/5 of the pie, it would be the same as saying I had cut the same pie into 20 slices and eaten 12 of them. 3/5 is equivalent to 12/20. So now I'm going to write that up here, 12/20. And now I'm going to look at 3/4. I'm turning that into another equivalent fraction with the LCM of 20 being my new denominator, my least common denominator. 4 goes into 20 5 times. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So I multiply the top by 5. 5 times 3 is 15. We're saying here that 3/4 is saying the same as 15/20. If I ate one of Mr. Savoring's pizzas, if I said I had eaten 3/4 of it, it would be the same as saying I had eaten 15 slices out of a total of 20. So now I bring this up here and I have 15/20. So look at what we're now comparing. 12/20 to 15/20. Because they have the same denominator, like denominators, it is now really easy to compare, which is our step number 3. So I can in this easily say now that 12/20 is less than 15/20. Or in fact, 3/5 is less than 3/4. Taking that a step further, if I had 3 fractions and I was asked to put these in the appropriate order, I would again, first thing, think about making equivalent fractions, and in doing that, list the multiples. So I'm going to, above each fraction, the multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, blah, blah, blah. Multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, and I could keep going on. And the multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36. So when I look for what is a common multiple, I see 16, both 2 and 8 have 16, but that really doesn't help me with the 12. I do notice, though, that 8 and 12 have 24 in common, and I know 24 is an even number, so I had kept going on. I would have had 24 also as a multiple of 2. So that's what I'm going to say is my new, it's the lowest common multiple. It's now becoming my least common denominator for each of these fractions. So now I'm going to look for equivalent fractions. If I'm looking at going from 1/2 to 24ths, I can say 2 times 12. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 1/2 becomes 12/24. 3/8, if I'm converting that into an equivalent fraction with 24 as my new denominator, I know to get 24, I have to multiply 8 by 3. I do the same to the numerator. I now have 9/24. And if I'm looking over here at 7/12, what's equivalent to 7/12? I have to multiply 12 by 2 and do to the top what I do to the bottom, and I would have 14. So now when I'm asked to put these 3 fractions in order, 1/2, 3/8, and 7/12, in order from least to greatest, I can see this is only 12 out of 24, 9 out of 24, and 14. So it's clear that 3/8 or 9/24 is my smallest, is less than the next, so we now have this one done. The next smallest would be 12/24 compared to 14. So it would be 12, which is 1/2. And then my greatest fraction is the 7/12. Again, I can only do that analysis, that study of them, and once I have converted them to equivalent fractions with the same denominator. So that, my friends, is how we compare and order fractions.